Hi, ladies. Hello. Hey, Trisha.
Kate.
There you are. Gosh, I'm so excited to spend a little bit of time with all of you ladies and get to see your faces. Hey, Jenny. I'm glad you could make it.
Jenny's my
Thanks.
friend. Jenny's one of my friends.
Yes, I love it. I love when friends bring friends. We can just like share the love. Awesome. So I'm just right now, I am letting everyone in. So we'll get started here in just a minute. And feel free to have your video on, feel free to turn it off, whatever feels most comfortable for you. I personally love to see your faces, but no pressure. Let's see, do that. So how's everyone's day going so far? See, oh, we got the chat. Hi, Lydia. So, okay, ladies, at the bottom, if you were on a desktop, there is a chat feature, and I encourage you to use that. You can post any questions you have. You can talk to each other. Like, this is going to be kind of just a laid back, fun class. So glad you all are here. Awesome. Sarah, Megan, Lydia, Leah, another Megan, all the Megans today. Jan, I'm so glad you all are here. Okay, we'll get started here in just a few more minutes. Okay, well, you know what? Let's go ahead and get started. So I know some of you, but I don't know all of you. So I am Kate Saffel, and I am a life coach for moms. And I really got into this work because I spent a lot of my motherhood years feeling very unhappy and distracted and disconnected and just really kind of purposeless. And once I really became clear on how it was my responsibility to really own my motherhood experience and make it what I wanted, that gave me the momentum to change a lot of things for my family. So we are those weird people that travel full time in an RV, and it was really seeking our purpose and our happiness as a family that allowed us to create this life that we just really love. So that's a little bit about me, but today we're going to be focusing primarily on the holidays because they're like right here, they're right around the corner. And I don't know about you, but in years past, I would feel a lot of anxiety about the holidays. There always felt like there were a lot of decisions to make, a lot of expectations. And all of those can really uh, remove us and distract us from being fully present and just enjoying these days with our kids. So that's going to be what we're going to talk about today, which is just how you can be really connected and present during the holiday season. But to be honest with you all, how you do the holidays is kind of how you do your entire life, right? So we want to build a way of being as moms that when life is crazy, we can be present and we're there for them. When life is slow and easy, we're there. Like no matter what is happening in the world, we can be present and connected. So what I thought would be really fun is if we started this call by really like visualizing what it is that you want for the holidays. Like when you think of this upcoming season, what are you looking forward to most? And feel free to put it in the chat box or to just like unmute yourself and let everyone know because we're all friends here. what do you want this holiday season to look like with your family? Yeah, Brittany says more connection and less chaos. Yeah. And make memories from great experiences and not a lot of gifts. Yes, I can totally relate to that. And Brittany, what we'll talk about today is how you can stay connected even if there is chaos. Because wouldn't that be freeing, right? Like no matter what's happening, you can just be present. Sarah says plenty of time for baking and enjoying each other and playing games. So I love that. My kids and my husband were actually making puzzles on this table earlier. So I'm surrounded by puzzle pieces because we love those kind of things. Awesome. So I love this. I love it. Right. And I think that there's this yearning that we all have to just slow down, to just be within our home and really enjoy that time together, no matter what is happening out in the world, right? Because this year has been interesting. And Lydia says time with family, enjoying each other. Leah just wants to feel calm and have a less hectic holiday. Yeah. And we'll talk a little bit more too about like how do we make it less hectic? Like what's creating that feeling? And we'll get to that here in a moment. Okay, so right now, mamas, I'm really curious what this year has looked like for you. If I had a guess, I would guess that it has probably felt a little chaotic, a little uncertain. It has probably felt like you are flying by the seat of your pants. Maybe you don't know what to expect next. You may have picked up schooling your kids. I don't know if anyone is currently homeschooling, distance learning. Put a little like note in the box if you suddenly became teacher along with mom this year. You may find that the weight of all of this is making you more frustrated. Like you might be more likely to snap at your kids, you're irritated, you feel less in control of your reactions, and you really want to feel more purposeful and connected, but everything going on, it just feels a little out of reach. And then you may be looking for just solutions and tools to help you kind of reconnect in motherhood. And I'm guessing that's probably what brought you here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start my little, little slideshow I got going on here. If you were a note taker, I recommend getting some paper if you're one of my student type of mamas. Let me see if I can do a screen share. Yeah, Lydia says, I need all the reconnection. You and me both, mama. I am really looking forward to that. Okay, let's see. Go with this. Here we go. Can you all see this? We good? I can only see a few of your faces, so let's see. Awesome. Okay. All right, ladies. So my intention for you this holiday season is that you are able to feel fully connected and present, that you feel very confident in your parenting so that you can navigate each day with more ease. I want you to be able to slow down and actually feel joyful. I think for a lot of us, we tend to overthink these things and get stuck in our heads. And I want you to just be playful and enjoy this time that you have with your kids because they're only little once. Also, I want you to feel organized and purposeful. So you wake up each day and you know what it is that you want that day to look like. And you set the tone and the expectation for the day instead of the other way around, right? And then finally, I know it probably feels far away, but really, ladies, like 2021 is just right around the corner. So the habits and the groundwork that you do now is going to lay your foundation for all of next year and really setting you up to ideally have a year that looks a lot different than 2020. Okay, so when we think about distraction, it is a really common experience in motherhood, and it's something that I coach on a lot. And it's because we have so much going on in our lives, right? We're so busy, we have so many things to manage and to consider. And so distraction really can take two forms. The first one is mental. So it's what's happening in your head. It's not always that, you got a phone call or that, something changed outside of you, but it could be that you just had a thought, like you started to worry about something. And it is a thought or a feeling that you are allowing to distract you. And then the second form of distraction comes from our environment. And these are ones that we don't consciously seek out, right? We don't think to, but it is a way of coping. So it could be, being on your phone. It could be sugar, binge eating, alcohol. Let me think what else. Technology, shopping, kind of all of those things. For some moms, it could be overworking and doing tasks that don't actually need to be done in that moment. But again, like you're wanting to distract, so you set yourself up with something else that seems like it's a bigger priority in that moment, but it takes you out of that moment that you have with your family. So the way that we can overcome these two forms of distraction is first by having awareness and learning how to break the cycle of what I call the distraction cycle. This is going to be fun because you're going to see yourself in this, be like, oh yeah, this is me. Okay, so this is the distraction cycle. So we start over on the left of the screen with your expectations. So this is really what we think our day should look like as moms and for our families. And it can be shaped by a lot of different things. It could be like shaped by things that have happened in your past and how you think raising a family should look like. It could be shaped by what you see on the internet. It's not always steeped in reality. And it can be either like idealistic, like something that you can strive toward, or it could be something that is more negative and you are anticipating something going wrong before it even happens. Either way, we're going to talk more about expectations and how to be more intentional in setting those for your day so that you get to decide the tone of it and how it goes. So the next step in the distraction cycle is when we get faced with reality. This is how your day actually goes, right? So let me know, I'll see if I can see the chat box, if I can find it, but let me know if you've ever had that moment where you thought your day was going to go a certain way and then here's my chat box, and then it's totally different than what you expected. Nope, I can't find the chat box. Okay, well, we'll just keep rolling. And then the next,
Kate.
yes.
I don't think anybody can see the different slides. It's just a title screen.
Really? Oh no. You guys, what are you seeing right now?
I'm just seeing the title screen, like the key to being present, connected during the holidays workshop, the first slide.
Really? Okay. All right, everyone pause for a second. Let me see if I can figure this out. I wonder what happened. It says let me do something real quick. Technology. Oh, okay, ladies, I'm really sorry. I'm seeing you guys in the chat box and I could not see that. Oh, darn it. Let me see if I can screen share again, and then Trisha, I'm putting you in charge. You let me know if it looks any different, and then we'll have to figure it out. Let's try this one. What do you see?
The first slide.
Really? What the heck? All right, let's try this.
There you go.
Do you
now
see
you're on the third one.
Okay. Now what do you see?
The third slide, forms of distraction.
Yay! Okay, we are back in business. Goodness gracious. I am so sorry. You guys are so patient. Okay, so can everyone see the distraction cycle now?
It's the one right before the distraction cycle.
What is going on?
Kate, this is Lydia.
Yes.
Sorry, I think you're just
God.
gonna have to click through the slides. I don't think the present is working. I would just click through the slides. Sorry, and if I'm jumping in.
Lydia,
but
you're fine. I am clicking through them and it's not. Okay, you know what? This is what we're gonna do. Here's what we're gonna do. Okay, do you ladies have a good imagination? Can we just like
Yep.
roll with it and we'll go? Okay, I don't know. Technology and I are not friends, so that's okay. Okay, so let's talk about the distraction cycle. And I'm going to see if I can't like illustrate this in a way for you all that makes sense, because it really is such a powerful thing once you have this awareness to see how it's playing out in your days. So let me just kind of like reiterate really quickly, since I know you guys were probably focused on like, what is she talking about? I can't see it. So the distraction cycle starts with your expectation for the day. And as I was saying, like, it's not always rooted in reality. It can be idealistic, or it can just be based on maybe negative experiences you've had in the past. Either way, it shapes the way that you think about your day. And then the next part of the cycle, so if I could show you, it was like a little circle, would be the reality of what your day actually looks like. So this is the point where, you know, something happens in your home and you're like, oh, this wasn't how I thought my day was going to go. Yeah? Anyone ever experienced that? So what happens is that we have this, it's what's called cognitive dissonance. It's where what you thought was supposed to be is different from what is actually happening, and your brain kind of like freaks out a little bit and it's like, wait a second, this doesn't look right to me. And so what happens is it creates a thought, and you have lots and lots of thoughts every day. You have about 60,000, so it's like super noisy in our heads, but some are louder than others. And when your expectation and your reality don't meet up, you have a thought. So it might be like, I don't have time to do everything on my plate. Or maybe your child made a mess and you're trying to get out the door and you're like, I don't have time for this. Okay? Whatever it is, you come up with a thought about your environment and what you are experiencing. And whenever we have a thought, it's paired with a feeling. So feeling being like, I have an emotion in my body. And oftentimes when our day is not going how we expect, it creates a feeling of disconnect, right? We're not quite where we want to be. So let me know, like, I would like to know in the chat box when you feel most disconnected. Like, what is a scenario for you that you've experienced in the past of like, thought my day was going to go like this, and then this happened, and now I'm just like, I'm ready to mentally check out. Let me know if that has ever happened to you. Yeah, Sarah says when bedtime takes longer than usual. Yeah, you're like, you just go to sleep, right? Because you have this thought in your head of, oh, surely they'll go to bed right away, and then they don't. Yeah, Jan says every day. Megan says when I'm on a work deadline and my kids suddenly need everything. I swear children can like smell that. They like know when you need to get things done. Trisha says during days when there are a lot of temper tantrums or defiance. Yes. Oh my gosh. I totally know that. Having 3 kids, I have been through that so many times. And then Brittany says unexpected stuff like car trouble. Oh my goodness. Yes. Like whenever there is a big change in plans, that is really your opportunity to think intentionally about like what is happening in your world. And I'm going to explain a little bit more about that in a moment. But whenever we have these thoughts and feelings about what's happening in our home, you know, we're thinking this isn't how I thought it was going to be, and we feel frustrated, we feel disconnected, distracted, maybe even a little sad or resentful. You know all those feelings, right? What happens is that it creates an action. So our thoughts and feelings always lead to some kind of action, and really it's not typically the action that we want to take, right? And what I see happening a lot with moms is that they get overwhelmed by the discomfort of what's happening, and so that's when they disconnect, and they take the action of disconnecting from the present moment with their family and then reconnecting to something else. And it's usually something that provides like a dopamine hit. I kind of mentioned some of them earlier. You feel free to list your favorite dopamine hit in the comments, but it could be like, I'm going to make myself another cup of coffee. I am going to eat this donut that I told myself I wouldn't eat, but I feel frustrated. So instead I'm going to just eat the donut. It could be like, if you tend to work a lot, it could be like, I want to go send this email, so I'm going to walk away from the kids because this feels more important than being in this moment. So let me know if you feel brave and you want to share what yours are. Jan says too much coffee and food and working constantly. Yeah, Jan, I can really relate to that. Like, I'm the queen of like, okay, I just need to go make another pot of coffee. And we're like, don't really need more coffee, right? Yeah. And so it feels good in that moment to have that dopamine hit. It almost like soothes something. It's a self-soothing gesture, right? Like it's comforting, like, oh, okay, like everything's okay in my world. But the problem is that we all know is that it creates a secondary problem, which is just being disconnected from your kids. And I don't know about you, but what often happens is that when we disconnect, our kids can really sense it and their behavior can get worse and things can spiral even more out of control. And so really, like when we're looking ahead to the holidays, right? Like you're taking normal mom life and then you're layering on the expectations of the holidays. And so what we want to do is figure out like, how do we break this cycle so that for the next, I don't know, 50 days of this year that are left, which is just nuts, you can show up very intentionally. And there is no perfection. I just want to put that out there. There's no mom on this call who's 100% present all the time. So like, let's just send that one out the window. But that maybe you can increase your ability to like really be present with your kids like by 10% or 15%, so that you feel like you can sit down and do that puzzle with them and not reach for your phone or like head to the kitchen and have a glass of wine or like whatever it is that feels better. Okay, so are you all ready to learn how to actually break the cycle? I just feel like I need like, get away. Oh, Laura's giving it to me. Thank you. I needed that validation. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Jan. Okay, so there are 3 steps to breaking this cycle that I just love teaching and that I think are going to be so valuable. So the first one is to intentionally visualize the outcome that you want. In this case, we're talking about the holidays, but you guys know this really just applies to life in general. So you're going to intentionally visualize. We're going to troubleshoot for your triggers, and I'll explain more on that in a moment. And then we're going to decide how you want to think and feel ahead of time. So we're being intentional instead of reactive. So I want you to think right now, we kind of talked about this a little bit at the beginning of the call, but what do you want most for this holiday season? What are you picturing when you have a moment to kind of like slow down and think about these days with your kids, like right this holiday season, smack dab in the middle of, you know, like a pandemic, and we just got through an election if you're in the United States, right? Like there's going to be this sweet spot this winter. What do you want it to look like? And some of you said like baking and time as a family and slowing down, maybe working less. So really kind of just journal, like even right now, jot down a few ideas of what is really speaking to you for the kind of holiday season that you want to create for your family. And then something that I love doing this time of year is making a bucket list with my kids of the things that we want to do during the holidays. Now, if you have really little kids, you may have to be the one to make that bucket list. You can look back on things that you enjoyed as a child, or maybe things that you see friends or family doing and you're like, yeah, I really want to incorporate that. So there's like no bad ideas. We're just kind of brainstorming and really visualizing what is going to create that joyful holiday season. Okay, so as you are making your bucket list, you can also make a second list where you write down all the things you're going to say no to. Also a really favorite activity of mine, which is just to draw that line in the sand of this is what we're going to do and this is what we are saying no to this holiday season. So I want you to ask yourself these 2 questions, and I can maybe I can put them in the chat box for you guys since I don't have the slide. But what do you want to experience as a family this holiday season? And then what do you need to do each day to create that outcome? Okay. So what do you want to experience as a family this holiday season? And then what do you need to do each day to create that outcome? How are we all doing? Okay, so the second step, which I think is probably the most important step, is to know your triggers. So overcoming your triggers is really the #1 way to break this distraction cycle. The visualizing helps you to create that foundation for what you want, but we have to figure out, where are you getting stuck in your days? So as you remember in the distraction cycle, there's a point where your expectations and your reality are not, like, they're not jiving, they're not meeting up. So you are getting triggered by some kind of outcome in your life. It could be like, you know, seeing dirty dishes in the sink, or a toddler that throws tantrums, or a mother-in-law that keeps showing up when you didn't invite her over. I don't know, right? There could be a lot of different things. Even a trigger such as like looking on social media and seeing how other people do the holidays, and it like sets off a whole set of like thoughts and feelings of like, oh, I don't know, I'm not like her, right? And so all of this is going on, all of these triggers, and we think like, this isn't what I thought the holidays were going to look like. So I want you to get really clear on what your daily triggers are. Like, what are the things that set you off and make you want to disconnect? Write those down. But here's what I want to offer you is that things can go wrong in your day, and you can have an enjoyable time during the holidays, right? They're not mutually exclusive. We often want to just like throw the entire day out because something went wrong. But something I like to teach my clients is the thought of, what if nothing has actually gone wrong? Like, what if my brain is super attaching to this thing that is triggering to me, but it's not actually that big of a deal, right? It can be frustrating watching your 3-year-old throw a tantrum. It can be irritating that your partner didn't do the dishes like he said he would, right? But does it have to be a big deal? You get to decide. Like, you get to decide if it's going to impact you, or if you're going to just like see it and then move on. So you really want to know yourself and have that awareness of, what are the triggers that make you want to disconnect and seek those kind of like momentary pings of pleasure from a dopamine hit. Okay. And then the third step is to shift your thoughts. So far we've visualized the holidays, we have identified your triggers, and then really the step that creates the most lasting change is switching from your very default reactive thoughts to intentional ones that help you to create the life that you want. So we all have 2 categories of thoughts. Like I said, we have default, we have intentional thoughts. Intentional just being like, these are the ones that you choose to think on purpose to help you to feel differently about your day. So I would really encourage you, like, when you think about the things that trigger you, to observe what you are thinking on default when that trigger happens. What is the thought that is popping up in your head? You can just write it down. And I want to encourage you to think of these thoughts simply as just words that are just, it's like a script, like a scrolling bar running across your brain, right? And you get to decide if you want to really believe it and to act from it. So we often let our thoughts really take control of our days, but you have a lot more control over what you're thinking and how you're acting from that space. It's just, the thing is that a lot of the thoughts that we have, we've thought them for so long that they're just habitual and they just kind of happen without us even realizing. So you might ask yourself when you see these default thoughts, is this a kind thought? Is it true? Is it necessary? Like, do I actually have to think this about the thing that triggered me? And you probably will find that it's not actually necessary, because our brains are total mean girls and will tell us stories that aren't actually true about what's happening. So this is your opportunity to then rewrite those default thoughts into something that is more empowering to you and your family, so that you get to create the days that you want during this holiday season. So you can ask yourself, what is it that I actually want to believe about my days? What do I want to believe about my kids and this holiday season, and how we're going to show up for one another? What is going to be empowering to me? What thoughts are going to help me to feel connected and present to each day and each moment? So, this is something that I work with my clients on, right? Like, we work a lot to figure out what are the thoughts that they need to be holding on a daily basis, and using those as the springboard to the inspired action that they take every day. So it is possible to teach our brains new tricks and to really break this distraction cycle. So any questions so far on those 3 steps of the visualizing, identifying your triggers, and then rewriting your thoughts? Let me know in the chat box, or you can feel free to unmute yourself.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah. Hi.
So one trigger I wrote down that I feel is like scaring me the most is time with my husband's dad and his wife. And just thinking like, I never make a plan for it. They just sort of present a plan to us and we accept it. But even thinking about that trigger, I'm just wondering like when it comes to people, other people being a trigger, where's a good place to start to unpack that?
So I would ask, what are you thinking about them?
I'm thinking that I don't really want to see them. I do. Yeah. We need to see them. We will see them. But it is always hard. It's always hard to see them. My kids act up, and we don't have a great relationship, and there's a lot of gifts exchanged, a lot of money spent. It's just like so many.
It sounds like it feels like it's out of alignment with your values, and it creates kind of this discomfort of when you go from your home into their home and you're doing the gift exchange and it's on their terms. Yeah. So do you feel really helpless in that scenario?
I do. Yeah.
So this is just an opportunity for you to decide, like, how do I actually want to think about it? Because it does feel out of your hands as long as you are thinking that it is.
Yeah.
So, So what would create a different experience for you so that you're less triggered? What would you want to believe about it?
I would like to believe that it serves a purpose that like does give back to us. Yeah.
And I would spend some time thinking about what that purpose is too. Like, don't leave it up to conjecture, because your brain's going to be like, there's actually no purpose to this. We don't believe this. So really define it and see if you can't believe it. See if it can't feel real to you, and notice if you feel a shift in that sensation of being helpless. And that's when you'll really know that you're on track with what you're thinking about this get together.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyone else want to share kind of what's come up going through this process?
Yeah, I will quickly.
Hannah?
Hey, I escaped for a minute. Yeah, so for me, holidays, it's we spend it with my partner's mother, and I just do everything. So like basically I host the meal. If we go to her house, I bring the meal, I bring dishes to eat the meal on, I clean up everything. And what I think I'm already seeing through this exercise is it does kind of piss me off because I just feel like underappreciated and it's a lot of work. But actually when I've started to sort of look at like my values and priorities, like I like cooking. I really, for the most part, dishes don't really bother me. I really value the time we spend with Karen because it's good for my child. And I really like want to be like warm and welcoming. And so I feel like if I just sort of accept that like this is a thing I do a few times a year, it really actually does line up if I approach it differently with who I want to be. So that's pretty new for me, I think.
I mean, that's huge. And you can really see how if you shift your focus just a little bit away from like, oh, this kind of angers me that I'm doing all of this, and instead think of like, how is this also for me? Right? Like, I enjoy cooking. I enjoy having this time together. And you may find too that in the future that that's a boundary that you need to re-examine and consider if it's still serving you. Thank you, Anna. Anyone else want to go?
Hi.
Hey, hi, Tiffany.
Hi. So I think one of the things that really triggers me around the holidays.
Oh no, we lost you.
Are you there? Can you see? Can you get me?
Yes. Hey.
Okay. So my son's only 3, but I have like these ideas that are probably too grand, of like us all doing a bunch of family kind of events. And in reality, it's probably only me that actually enjoys doing those things. Like as far as like between me and my husband doesn't really like to do these kind of activities. And I get resentment kind of about that. I'm like, it's just not within my like vision of how I want this to go. And he just is kind of a disgruntled like participant if I try to make him do these things. Yes. And so so that's something that I kind of struggle with, that I need to work, that I somehow need to work through.
Yeah. Is it possible that you could really enjoy the holidays and have just this amazing time with your child, whether or not he's there?
Yeah. And I think, right. And I think that that's what I need to work on visualizing is that, and then being accepting of the pieces that he actually wants to participate in and the ones that he doesn't.
Yeah, I think that's a really good
because it's one of those things. It kind of makes me, I'm just like, it just bothers me, and I need to work on that. And he participates in so many other ways, but it's like, that's the piece that I think that I just like focus on.
Yeah, right. Well, because what it seems like to me is that there is a thought that I know the way that we should be doing the holidays, and this is the right way.
Yeah.
You're like, wait a second, why aren't you coming along with me? So that
yeah.
So I would,
yeah, or why don't you like games? You know, I'm like, who doesn't like games? So yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, there's a couple pieces to this, Tiffany. Like, one, you get to decide how you want to actually think about him and about the holidays. You get to offer acceptance for who he is. And then the other thing that I often see with couples is that when you just start doing your own thing and you do it because it brings you joy, it brings you pleasure, and you just love it for you, then they can't help but come along. It's just when they feel like it's being forced and it's something they have to do, they're going to resist. So bring a different energy, and I bet you your holidays may look different this year.
Thank you.
Yeah, you are so welcome. And Tiffany, Lydia is on the same page with you about the games. That is so funny. I know some people either love them or hate them. So, okay, ladies, the end goal with all of this is that you are learning a new way of thinking and being within your family. So it's not really just about the holidays, like I mentioned at the beginning, but it has everything to do with how you are showing up on a daily basis. So as you master this cycle and learning how to break the distraction cycle, it is going to empower you to be more present with your family, to not get sidelined by distraction, like what's happening on social media or in the news, but to be able to set your own boundaries because you're the one who is in control of her thoughts and her feelings. And this takes time, it takes work. So I want to encourage you to see this as a daily practice where you are just noticing and bringing awareness to where you might be getting stuck, and then kind of like gently shifting into a new direction. But all of this to say that it is incredibly possible, it's likely, it is within your future to have that version of motherhood that I know you're seeking, to feel very purposeful and to be present, to make the most of these moments that you have with your little ones and not get like mired in the frustration and the anger and the resentment. And so just imagining what it would look like if you did have these like really smooth days where you felt peaceful, you felt connected, where you woke up in the morning and you actually felt joyful instead of like your instant being anxiety, worry, frustration. I also want you to just picture what it would look like if you mastered this distraction cycle and you felt that you could then go after your own goals and dreams. Like there actually was time and space for it because you're not getting triggered by these like little nitty-gritty things of like the sink being full of dirty dishes. I want you to believe in yourself, your family, and what is possible. And that is the foundation of everything that I teach my clients and all of the women in my community. So I did want to let you know that I have a 6-month coaching program, and some of the women on this call are clients of mine, and so I'm so glad to see them here. But I have a few spots left that I will be filling up by the end of 2020. And I want you to imagine how this year, 2020, has gone, what it's created for you, kind of what like your default thoughts and feelings have been on a daily basis. And imagine the potential of having someone to support you and create that accountability for the next 6 months, so that by the time you get to April 2021, you are making progress on your goals, your family's dreams, and most importantly, like you don't feel like you're in survival mode on a daily basis. So what I wanted to do, because I thought that this would be really special and fun, and I've been thinking about all of you ladies, and I've been thinking about 2021 and how we want it to look different than 2020, is that any women who sign up to coach with me by November 25th, so the day before the US Thanksgiving, will also get a 90-minute values and vision planning session for 2021. So we'll hop on video and we will set goals for you in the areas of parenting, in your home, as well as for yourself. So 3 goals, big game plan, reach all of those by the end of 2021. And it would just be a bonus in addition to having weekly coaching calls with me for 6 months, as well as ongoing support between those calls. So if that is speaking to you, if you're like hearing this and you're like, yes, Kate, I really need that support, I will be sending out a replay of this webinar, as well as a link to book a consult with me. And another thing that I wanted to throw in, just because I thought this would be fun for everyone who's attending, I'm also going to share with you a private link that goes to all of the video trainings that I have ever done. And so this is just, an extra thing that you can tap into to support you as you continue working toward being more purposeful and present in your home life and with your kids. So that's kind of what to expect next in the next 24 hours. And I would love to take any more like questions. If anyone wants coaching and support, I'm happy to stay on as long as needed. Oh, Anna, thank you so much. I've loved working with you. Okay. And feel free, like if you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself. This is your chance to get some support on anything that is just like troubling you or on your mind. Got a few more minutes before we wrap up. Oh, Laura, thank you so much. I love coaching with you too. You are so welcome, Leah. I'm so glad you were here. Oh, Brittany. Oh, you make me cry. That is so sweet. You mean since Cohesive Home, I think is what you're saying probably. Oh, Brittany, that makes me, gosh, I'm so glad you've been with me this long. Thank you, ladies. Oh, I feel the love. Okay, so listen, you guys know how to reach me, and I want you to know that whatever it is you dream of in motherhood is possible. So I hope that this workshop was helpful. I would love to hear from you. Let me know how your holiday season goes. Okay, thank you so much for being here. Take care. Bye, ladies.